Hey everyone, this is Nathan Phillips checking in, and this is going to be a video going over some bodyweight exercises that I do on recovery days. In large part, exercises that I do as a form of accessory training, and as you can probably see, there are a lot of calisthenics here as demonstrated, but I'm going to be following up with some ladder and hurdles for some foot speed and stability training as well. And the interesting thing is that in order to run faster, there are a lot of actually not even a lot. There's a short list of criteria that you're going to need to meet, or objectives. The only problem is it takes a lot of work and time in order to meet these objectives and to check each of these things off the list. And this is something that just is progressively changing every few weeks, every few months, and every single year. Now, when somebody had asked me in the past, or even in the present, this is always going to be the answer. How do I run faster? Nathan, how do I run faster? Well, in order to run faster, you're gonna have to do these few things. Maximize your stride length, minimize foot contact time, bump up your stride frequency, optimize power production and strength. That last part, optimize power production and strength. That's important because that's gonna be leading to your ability to effectively stabilize your core, your neck, while maintaining efficient and quick arm and leg cycling action. Now, with core training, you'll be able to do that with a greater level of proficiency. You'll have more control over your position of the spine, your head won't be wagging around all that much, and you'll ultimately be reducing that abdominal thoracic movement that coaches hate to see, making it look like you're in elementary school. Now, I can understand why a lot of track athletes, I've been through it, definitely hate a lot of these core exercises just because they're not fun. They can be relatively painful when done at a high enough frequency, but a lot of times they need to be done at a high frequency and the right way the first time in order to be effective. We already know what the benefits are. I've taken the time to break that down for you just now, but it's really up to you as the athlete to put it on yourself to do this type of stuff on your own, or communicate it with your coach to say, hey coach, we got to do this on a more regular basis because of the reasons W, X, Y, and Z. And if you have to explain it to them, then explain it to them. Odds are they're already going to know, and they have to be willing to take the time in practice or after practice for you guys and girls to dedicate to doing core training. Now, these ladders exercises are pretty crucial just because runners and sprinters tend to do them in a similar way, and it's important to recognize that the patterns usually require you to do different things. When it comes to simple patterns, it's always important if you're going at a certain pace to really get your knees up and press down, because in running, you always want to maximize impulse while still moving rather quickly. Other patterns don't require you to lift your knees up as high. It's really mostly about balance and precision, especially these unilateral or single leg drills where you need to be able to move through the hurdles, not necessarily fast, but under a lot of control. We want to be able to see that you are demonstrating control before we move on, before we start to make the drill more complicated and add a little bit of twist to challenge you more as an athlete. If you're doing something like this, going in and out of the squares, left to right on one leg, and you're out of control, then we definitely can't move on. This is something you definitely need to work on. This is going to be indicative of your single leg strength, your ankle stability, and overall coordination. That's the type of thing that you need to work on. Not just football players need to do footwork. Everybody should. Of course, you're going to be working on the fast firing of the legs. People sort of have this understanding or misconception sometimes of how fast switch muscles work, but realistically, fast firing is something that sprinters do need to work on. They do often use ladders and hurdles. When it comes to the hurdles, this is going to be more reminiscent of the plyometrics exercise that I broke down before. If you want to understand what the background of plyometrics are, I'm going to link that video somewhere on the top so you can see it on the screen as a card. But ultimately, it's this type of stuff too, which requires a little bit of speed and precision and stability, especially when we add the med ball into the mix, right? I want to be able to step from one space to the next under complete control with as little deviation as possible. And this is definitely one of the more challenging things. If you want to make it harder for yourself, add more hurdles to go through the drill longer. An extended time under tension, an extended amount of time under tension. But otherwise, it's really about going through the drill the one time with as much control as you can demonstrate. Now, this is probably one of the last things that I did. This is really more about maximum force generation and just doing one after the other. This definitely works the quads, a little bit of the hamstrings, but not so much, but really just a lot of downward force that you really want to exert jumping off that bench there. And ultimately, I would do about 3 to 4 sets of these. I'd probably go for about 35 repetitions, if not doing it for time with a partner. But otherwise, this is definitely one of the best burnouts that I think of for the end of my workouts.